Third guest is Kailen Padayachee from Kainav Conservation. He is doing great work in South African conservation, and I'd love to hear what he has to share with us about his journey in conservation. So yeah, thank you so much, Kailen, for being on the podcast today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Cool. All right, so first thing that I want to ask you is when and how did you get into conservation?
When would be, wow. Formally was 2007 when I left, 2006. After I matriculated from high school, I actually started studying for nature conservation straight out of high school. But I've always been involved with nature from the time I was in school on an informal basis. But yeah, formally through university, probably 2006, 2007.
Okay. And what degree is it that you have that pushed you into that?
Okay, so I started off with a national diploma in nature conservation, and that was through the Tshwane University of Technology. Okay. Slowly went up. I finished the national diploma, moved up to a BTech, also in nature conservation. BTech is actually been phased out now. I think since probably about a year or two ago. It's now a higher diploma, and then from the BTech I went on to an MTech, which is also being phased out, which is equivalent to a master's degree. And then currently now I'm actually busy with my MSc and PhD in conservation biology in UCT.
Okay. So currently you're still busy. Yeah, I've heard about that through my uncle. So in nature conservation, what would you say is like some of the difficulties that you've faced sort of starting your organization?
Starting my organization, obviously the organization is a non-profit, so the same challenges that face most non-profit organizations is funding. Trying to get not only the funding but quality funding that you can that's sustainable, that's going to last you for a long period of time. Because it's all great getting large sums of money once off, but you need that sustainability if you're going to continue projects for more than a few months or a few years. So definitely, I would say one of the biggest challenges has been the funding for the foundation. Personally, in my career, starting off conservation was, back in 2000, even when I finished high school, wasn't a very common career path to take. Not a lot of people knew about it. There was even fewer resources available then that are now. The first person in my family to follow this type of career. So trying to get the information and to get the guidance that you need as a young person entering academia and the workplace was difficult to come by.
Okay. And where did you find the funding for, what is like the main source of funding for your organization?
For the organization, we actually try to generate our own funding. So the majority of our funding comes from our tourism programs. So we've used a model where we combine tourism with conservation research. So we take people out on our survey programs. So while we're gathering data and doing our everyday work, we invite the public, mainly tourists, to come and join us on these programs. We've also now introduced school programs where we take school outings to teach them about natural sciences, geography, biology, all in the field while we're conducting our work.
Okay. I think that's amazing, the fact that you're getting school kids involved. I mean, me personally, from my experiences, it's something at school that schools do lack, like actual field work. So that's amazing. And so another thing that I was wondering is sort of going forward, what are the current, not really going forward, but what are the current things that you're working on with Kainav Conservation? What are the current programs that you're busy with?
We've got a few things on the go at the moment. One of our major projects that we've that that's been going since the start of Kainav Conservation Foundation is the SNARE initiative. The SNARE initiative is a project that's dedicated to finding, cataloging, and removing poachers' snares. So snares are obviously illegal traps placed by poachers to catch different types of animals. And this project is basically going out into the African bush, finding these things, and gathering a lot of information about it. Because in Southern Africa, we don't have a lot of information on snare poaching. A lot of the information we have comes out of East Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa. So here in South Africa, or Southern Africa, we're trying to gather more information while removing these snares. So that's one of the major projects that we're going. One of our newer projects is actually part of my PhD project, which is an ecotoxicology program. So we're testing, or we're trying to prove that we can use birds of prey, raptors, as a sentinel species to monitor environmental contamination in different areas. So basically what that means is we're testing birds of prey. They're different tissues from birds of prey. So fat, muscle, feather, and we're trying to see what type of toxins are found in these birds. And after some time, we'll use it as a trend to see which parts of South Africa are being more polluted, and potentially where is this pollution coming from.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Where would you think that the pollution, like from your study so far, what is it sort of pushing towards that the pollution is coming from?
The project is still very, very young. We've only started collecting samples at the beginning of this year, in fact. Well, since last year, but we only started analyzing this year. So we haven't even gotten an idea of how much pollution is in the system. But I can tell you, we've actually been targeting areas where we know from historical evidence that there is a lot of pollution. So that's mining areas, agricultural areas. Remember, with mines and agriculture, there's a very high likeliness, and there's evidence of things like your heavy metals and pesticides. So obviously heavy metals from your mining activities, that's coming out of the activities there. And then pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides in your agricultural area or areas of South Africa. So those are the land uses that we're targeting at the moment.
Okay. That's so interesting, in fact. I was wondering now, why did you pick birds in particular? What sort of sparked your interest in birds?
Birds actually came about very, very strangely. When I started conservation, I was actually into marine ecosystems and species. So my whole idea was to become a marine conservationist and ecologist. But 3 years after my diploma, I had an opportunity to work for the Walt Disney World Company in the United States as a conservation educator. Whilst I was in the States working for Disney, I got into bird photography, specifically birds of prey. And after photographing these birds for a few years, I really took a liking to them, and I wanted to find out, how is it that even in the most urbanized areas, we still have birds of prey? How are they here? And then what can we do to keep them there?
Okay. So it was sort of your interest sort of just got sparked randomly, if you could put it that way.
Pretty.
Okay. And then just one more question for you. If there are people out there, youth, that want to get into conservation, especially nature conservation, what piece of advice would you pass on to them?
There's so much advice actually. But I think from my experiences is nowadays there's so much more information available. We've got the internet and we've got so many groups that are active. Social media is fantastic. Get onto social media and look if you're interested in something. Now, it's important to know nature conservation is very broad. There's so many avenues that you can follow within nature conservation. And that was one of the things that was a little bit overwhelming to me once I got started. When young people come to me and say, well, I want to do what you do. There's so many things we do. So it's really broad, and you want to kind of think about what excites you. Once you get that find information, social media, websites, find information on that topic, and don't get overwhelmed because there's so many possible avenues. Always keep an open mind, and accept these avenues as possible opportunities. That was one of the mistakes that I made. In fact, as I said, when I started, I was very dead set on marine ecosystems, and as a result, I actually passed up a lot of really great opportunities in the pursuit of marine conservation. Only after time, and as you get older and you get experience in the industry, do you realize that, well, you can follow many different avenues under the conservation banner. So yeah, my biggest thing is stay open to these ideas, stay open to these opportunities.
Okay, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Cool.
And then, yeah, just to close off, where can everybody find you? What's your social medias, your websites?
All right. Well, they can, anybody looking to hear more about what we do, you can get us on Facebook, Kainav Conservation Foundation on Facebook. We've got an Instagram account, or even pop us an email on info@kainavconservation.org. Yeah, at any time we'll be there, we'll be around, we'll answer.
Okay, cool. There we go. That's perfect. Thank you so much for being on, and good luck with everything going forward.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thank you.